Welcome into the Lucas and Lucas podcast, another new episode. Mike Lucas here alongside Lucas Frankel as always. And Frank, we got to start with the Yankees. Last week, we were talking about them as legitimate World Series contenders. They had just won 13 in a row before losing a game and eventually losing a couple more. They pulled you back in because you were out earlier in the summer. You were fully on board a week later. Frank, where do you stand now that they've dropped a few games and blew another late inning lead?
Well, they never had a lead last night, but they were tied going into the seventh inning. But I've never seen a more Jekyll and Hyde team in my life. To go from winning 13 games in a row, feeling like you're invincible, you're on top of the world, to 2 weeks later going 2-9 in your past 11 games and just basically like completely in a free fall. I mean, they are in a complete nosedive right now. There doesn't seem to be anything that's going to stop them from getting back on track here. It's raining here in the New York City area. And what the Yankees need is they need to rain out. They need a day to just take a breath and regroup and relax, because whatever's happening right now is not working. It really feels like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. In their past 3 games, it's the third time in franchise history they've had 1 or fewer extra base hits, scored 4 fewer runs, and they've struck out 28-plus times. First time since 1965 that's happened. The other time was 1910. They really can't do anything right. Their defense has completely fallen apart. Every single player, whether you name Rizzo's made errors, Urshela, who's supposed to be a gold golf third baseman, can't field anymore. Gleyber Torres is the worst fielding shortstop in the history of Major League Baseball. And then even Andrew Velasquez, who they put in for Gleyber Torres, made a critical error last night. It's just they stopped running the bases for some reason. During that, what was clicking so well for them, they were making things happen on the bases. I don't know why Aaron Boone is so against playing Tyler Wade. I'm screaming for Tyler Wade. He's been unbelievable when he's been in the lineup. He can run. He makes things happen on the bases. He can steal. He can butt. He can get infield hits. I mean, those are the kind of players the Yankees need right now to get some in energy into the lineup. And one more interesting stat before I let you go here: the Yankees with Gleyber Torres in the lineup this season are 52-48. Without him, 26-13. Gleyber Torres, I don't know what's wrong with him, but I do not want him on the Yankees next year. I'm done with Gleyber Torres. I am out on him. There's nothing he can say or do that will make me want to have him on my team going forward. And he might be at the new top of my list. He has surpassed Carlos Stanton as my least favorite Yankee, and that is a really, really hard thing to do.
I think you're going a little overboard putting him ahead of Stanton for our least favorite Yankee. You mentioned this team, though, being the most Jekyll and Hyde team. Frank, I think you embody the Yankees. You are the most Jekyll and Hyde fan. You are in, you're out. This is the best team ever. This is the worst team ever. They're World Series bound. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You have hit every end of the spectrum on how this Yankee team can finish the season. And I enjoy more than anything else watching you watch this Yankees team. That has been the single most enjoyable thing that I've had from this 2021 baseball season. Is just watching you react, because I'm in Texas. I don't get access to a lot of the regular games. I work weird hours, so it's hard for me to watch. You're in a place where even if you're working late, there's TVs on, you get the Yankees, and your coworkers are baseball fans, so it's a constant topic of communication. And just seeing you react in live time to some of these unbelievably heartbreaking losses, or some of these unbelievably destructive strikeouts with the bases loaded late in games, has been a treat. So I want to say, anyone who listens to this, whether you know Frankel or not, whether you like the Yankees or not, if you want to see a fan live and die with a singular team on a nightly basis, because you can't do it with football. Football plays once a week. Baseball is 6 to 7 games a week. To see a fan have his soul crushed on Twitter night in and night out, I would highly recommend following Lucas Frankel. Now, for this team, Frank, I just think baseball is the most unpredictable sport in the world, because on any given night, you could have Jacob deGrom versus the worst pitcher on the Pirates, and the Mets could be, in theory, an 8-run favorite, and they lose. I don't know how a team wins 13 games in a row and then goes 2-9 in the following 11. It makes no sense. It would be like when Miami had LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, and they won 26 games in a row. Could you imagine them going after that, trailing off and going 3-15 in their next 18? Like, it just doesn't happen in any other sport. I think baseball is the only sport where momentum plays a factor in the entire lineup and the pitching staff to where the entire team could be in a slump at the same time and or hot at the same time, and things just seem to go their way offensively and defensively. I don't have answers. I don't know how to fix it. I think having an off day might help. I mean, could he call up the AAA team and let them play for a day and literally bench everybody? I don't know what the actual options are or what the solution is. But right now, Frank, you're right. We talked last Friday or last Thursday. The Yankees had won 13 and then lost 2 or 3 in a row, but they looked like a World Series contender. Today, the Yankees can't beat the Orioles. Plain and simple.
It's really been just like, it's literally ripping my heart out of my chest. It's been such a frustrating time, and they're in a stretch of 20 games in 20 days here. I thought when Garrett Cole left the game the other night that they were gonna say it's a UCL Tommy John surgery. Not only is he not coming back this year, he's at all of next year. I was like ready for that. That's why I tweeted like, "See you on the Yankee season," because at the end of the day, I think this is on Brian Cashman. As much as I hate Aaron Boone, and as much as this might be a blessing in disguise,
it's a bad roster. It's a flawed roster.
Let me explain. As much as if the Yankees don't win the wild card game, and don't even make the wild card game, Aaron Boone is gone. He is not coming back to his manager's team next year. Because you just know when a manager gets ejected, and Boone's been ejected like 7 times this year, 6 or 7 times, and when he does get ejected, it's not like the Yankees like respond and had this major bounce back. They did it all the time under Girardi. When Girardi got tossed, they answered the bell every single time. When Boone gets ejected, they just roll over even more. But I think this is on Brian Cashman. Here's why. But it may not be it. But there's like a counter argument to it too. So
let's hear it.
You look at the Yankees rotation. If Garrett Cole, great, no concerns about him. He is probably going to win the AL Cy Young when all said and done. But beyond that, you have Jordan Montgomery, who's probably like a four, best of 3. And then after that, I mean, you mortgage so much resources and reliance on Jameson Taillon, who hadn't pitched in 2 years, and Corey Kluber. And Taillon had a nice month stretch, but that's really been it for him. Kluber had a nice 2-game stretch in May. Other than that, he's been a complete and utter failure. And the biggest reason why the Yankees, because Cashman banks so heavily on getting major second-half production from Luis Severino, who has yet to make a single appearance all year, and David Garcia, who is one of their highly regarded pitching prospect, who's made a grand total of 1 start all season long. He's not even on the radar of being called up. He started one of the division series games against the Rays last year, was supposed to make a huge leap here this year, but had just struggled so badly in the minors. The Yankees didn't even consider bringing him up. And those 2 guys not being able to be a factor in this starting rotation was a devastating blow, coupled with the fact that the offense has just been a complete, from, oh my God, they cannot be stopped, to, oh my God, they can't score a run if the light depended on it. And they're going through one of those stretches right now. And man, I just feel like I just want the season over. I'm like so mentally drained from this season. I want the NBA season to start. We got LaMarcus Aldridge. We got Paul Millsap. Let's go.
All right. So on the Cashman thing, I agree with you. It's a flawed roster. And when you were banking on Corey Kluber and Jameson Taillon, that's a recipe for disaster. You look at a team like the Dodgers, who went out and added a Max Scherzer at the trade deadline. And you look at that rotation, and you say, how are the Yankees ever supposed to compete in a series with that rotation, with the 4 or 5 guys they throw out in the starting mound? Now, obviously, Cole is as good as anybody, but outside of him, is there anyone that you even have remote confidence in to throw a decent start in the playoffs? Like, honest to God, remote confidence?
No, the reality is, aside from Cole, who's had his ups and downs during the year, there's not a single guy that when he takes the hill, you're like, all right, we got this today, aside from Cole. And that's a huge problem. Even the Blue Jays, the Blue Jays are going to be a freaking force. If they don't win a World Series for the next 3 years, that is a complete failure for the Blue Jays. They are absolutely loaded. It is a shame, though. They're going to lose Marcus Semien, who's got 38 homers this year, was signed to a 1-year deal. If he has to get at least $200 million over the offseason, then, man, I don't know what to make of these teams. Because
would you take him?
I just don't know if the Yankees have a spot for him. I don't know where he's going to play. They have so much invested in other players who've got to sign big contracts that it's so hard to say. But the Blue Jays got Hyun-Jin Ryu, who's been great for them. They got Alec Manoah, who's been great for them. They got Robbie Ray, who's probably going to finish in the top 3 in the Cy Young Award voting. So they have 3 guys who, when they take the hill on a given day, they feel great about their chances to win. And that is the hallmark of whether a team is good enough to go to the World Series or not to go to the World Series. And you mentioned the Dodgers. They have obviously Walker Buehler. They have Max Scherzer. And they have Julio Urias. They got three. Those are three perennial like Cy Young contenders in their rotation. And the Yankees got one.
And Kershaw. And yeah,
Kershaw's been hurt.
But I'm just saying. But you look at the rotation. They have options on any given night. You could put a guy on the mound and say, "Hey, this guy's going to give us a chance to win." Now Kershaw has his playoff issues, yada yada yada. But you know what I'm saying? I feel much more confident in Kershaw than I do in Jordan Montgomery, Corey Kluber, Jamison Taillon, or whoever else the Yankees are throwing out there. Who was the guy last week who threw the amazing start that you couldn't believe? Like, what was his name?
Andrew Heaney had a start like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that guy. Like, if the Yankees made the playoffs in a 7-game series today, like, he's going to touch the ball at some point.
Yeah, let's just say, let's call it what it is. This team is not built to win in October. It's just not. No. Maybe if they had a healthy Severino and David Garcia was firing all cylinders, and couple that with Cole, and then you have that as your top three, and then Luis Hill continues, and he's your fourth guy. But like right now, let's just face it, this team is just they're not a World Series contender. That's just what it comes down to, and it's very disappointing. But who knows? If you talk to me in 2 days, I might have a completely different tone. So we'll see. And then
that's why you have to follow Frankel on Twitter for Yankees. You can mute every word that's not related to the Yankees. His Jets commentary sucks, but his Yankee takes are phenomenal. Follow Lucas Frankel for his Yankee takes. Also, I'm almost at 3,000 followers. Follow me too, just for the funny content.
Yeah, follow him. So Derek Jeter was inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame on Wednesday. In case you didn't know, because it was very hard to figure out when and where that was actually happening. I don't know what. Listen, I don't know whose decision this was. I'm going to blame Rob Manfred because that's an easy target. I mean, what the hell are you doing? On a Wednesday in September, the only sport that gets the Hall of Fame inductions right is the NFL. They do it in the first week of August when there is literally nothing happening. There was not a single other event in the world happening. Maybe every 4 years the Olympics, but no one cares about the Olympics. But they have nothing else to compete with. The whole sports world could focus their attention on the Hall of Fame inductions. Meanwhile, baseball does it on a Wednesday, on the day before the NFL season starts. I mean, what are we doing? And the most high-profile guy in the Hall of Fame in probably the last 30 years. I'm exaggerating, but the face of baseball, one of the greatest players of our generation, and no one's there to pay attention to it. This needs to happen they need to hold the Hall of Fame inductions during the All-Star break and do that ceremony then, because that's the best time to do it. And it's a real shame that a guy like Derek Jeter had to be disrespected like that and didn't get the love and the attention and the accolades that he deserved for his moment in the Hall of Fame. But I did love the fact that he got Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing to come to Cooperstown. Cooperstown, New York's not like, it's not like a short drive from it's really in the middle of nowhere. It's like 3 hours from everything. And the fact that he got Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing to go there, man, that was quite the feat for him. And I was very happy to see Jeter there. And anyone who tries to discredit Jeter, I mean, get over yourself. We literally had a conversation at work last night. He is, if you had to do a face of baseball all time, Jeter was in the conversation. He was in the conversation for a guy that you would want representing your sport all time.
Now he's a guy you'd want. Do I think he's one of the best 10, 15 baseball players ever? No. But he's a bona fide Hall of Famer, and people try to discredit him just because he was never the elite of the elite of the elite, statistically speaking. But, we talk about, Bill Russell. We talk about Robert Horry winning all those championships. And, Durant doesn't have one on his own, quote unquote. And Barkley never won one. And all these guys, Harden's ring chase and yada, yada. Jeter didn't ring chase. He just won. The Yankees won when Jeter came up. And that has to count for something. So was he ever an MVP? He had that 1 year where he could have been. Was he ever the best defensive shortstop in the league? No. Was he the face and arguably the best or second best player on a team that won 4 World Series in 4 straight years? Yeah.
4 and 5.
4 and 5, excuse me. Yeah. And that counts for something. And you can discredit him all you want by nitpicking and pointing out statistical deficiencies or the fact he wasn't an elite defensive shortstop. But the truth is, Frank, they're jealous. It's like when we try to nitpick Brady. Is Brady the GOAT? Yes. But will we always find, especially when he was on the Patriots, would we always find he's a system quarterback? He's not without Belichick. The defense won the first 3 champions. If you win at that level, people are going to find ways to nitpick you, and they're going to find ways not to like you. And the Yankees were the villains of baseball baseball in the late 90s, early 2000s, and Jeter was the face of the Yankees. So for that reason, he gets unfairly scrutinized and criticized. But the truth is they're jealous. They would all trade whoever their shortstop was for Derek Jeter at that time period. And how many of the teams won 4 championships in 5 years in the last 30 years? Anyone else? No? The answer is no, Frank. The answer is no. So, yeah, Derek Jeter's a better winner than anyone we've seen in baseball over the last 3-4 decades. So, shout out Jeets. I'm glad for you. I also had forgotten some of the women he had dated, and the Barstool article that put his lineup of exes together was phenomenal. I had forgotten. Shout out to you for that. And I miss Derek Jeter. He's my favorite Yankee ever, so I miss Derek Jeter.
Who do you like more, Jeter or Eli Manning?
Eli.
Wow, Eli Manning is ahead of Derek Jeter.
It's because, it's because Eli's 2 championships came at the most influential moments of my life.
Fair enough.
But most of Jeter's winning came when I was too young to like really, really, you know what I'm saying? We were what? 96, we were 3 years old.
Yeah,
4 years old. Yeah, so Manning's 2 came at a better time for me personally than Jeter's 1 later one. So
the last
also
argument,
I cut my arm. I'm bleeding. That's why I roll. I'm not trying to like flex on y'all. I'm bleeding, so y'all don't want to get it on my shirt.
All right, that's disgusting. But the last argument a coworker tried, he said the Yankees won less after they named Derek Jeter captain. That's what he was hanging his head on for discrediting Derek Jeter's career. They won less after he was named captain in 2003. Was his major, argument for why Derek Jeter's overrated. I can't stand those people. Moving on, I wanted to just give a shout out to a high school classmate of mine, Frank Schwindel of the Chicago Cubs, first player in the history of Livingston, New Jersey, to reach the major leagues. In the last week, he hit .462 with 5 homers, 12 RBIs, won National League Player of the Week for the Chicago Cubs, made some history as well. First player with a go-ahead RBI in the 6th inning or later in 4 straight games over the last 40 years. We had TV class together in high school. We had gym class together in high school. We had a pretty
older or younger.
He's a year older than me. Year older than us. And it's quite the sight to see this dude that like you saw in high school. You wondered with like you would talk about him to other people like he's not making the major leagues, is he? And he's been on quite the ride. It took him years to make the majors after being drafted in like the 18th round out of St. John's by the Royals. Spent time with the Tigers. Was with the A's earlier this year. And when the Cubs traded their whole team, finally got his first real chance at like a true everyday major league spot. And now he's probably going to get consistent starting time on a major league team next year. And it's really wild to see like someone you went to high school with in that position.
So I had a teammate of mine in high school made the majors in 2016, a year older than me. And his first at bat, he's a pitcher for the Rockies. He's in the Cubs organization now. He tore his UCL. I think Tommy John hasn't made it back yet. But his first at bat was against Paul Goldschmidt, who ripped a triple down the line against him. And I just remember Jerry Vasto got in the game. It was awesome. We were so excited for him. Reality check. Here's Paul Goldschmidt. Good luck. And then Jerry actually got a save later in the year. So you and I both have classmates who are a year older than us who made the majors. I don't know if you can find a podcast in the world that is able to say that besides the Lucas and Lucas podcast. So congrats to Frankie Schwindel. Is that his name?
Frank Schwindel.
Frank Schwindel, and shout out to my boy Jerry Vasto for his previous. Also, if you pitch in one game, you get MLB health benefits for life.
Is that what is that? Is it one at bat or like one appearance or like something like that?
You have to either get an at bat or pitch. So our boys are set for life, dog. Our boys are set for life.
Well, moving on. NFL season starts tonight. I know I'm not like over the moon about it because the Jets suck. But let's make some picks here. We'll start with some future picks. I'll go through my list, or we'll go one by one here. We'll start with the AFC. Mike, I'm taking the Chiefs to win the AFC. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree because I won't pick against Patrick Mahomes, but I do think
the Bills,
both Buffalo and Cleveland, have legitimate shots to be really good this year.
Who do you like to win the NFC?
This is tough. I'm going to go with the Packers. And I have
the Packers too. We're at the same. All right. This is not good. All right, I have the Chiefs. We
Let
probably
me
both have the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
let me make a case. Let me make a case for someone else then. A little sleeper action. The 49ers. I don't love Jimmy G. I think he starts the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. I think Trey Lance gets in, and I think the rest of that team is talented enough that Lance, as long as he's not abysmal, that team is good enough to beat anyone in the NFC. They're loaded on the offensive line. They're loaded on the defensive line. They have 3 or 4 great running backs. They have more weapons than you would even be able to imagine when you actually see it stack up on paper. And Kyle Shanahan is an elite head coach. So they're my sleeper pick in the NFC. But I do think Green Bay – I just think Aaron Rodgers, this is the perfect FU going out tour. I've picked the Packers to win the Super Bowl probably 7 of the last 10 years, and it's failed every time. So this is the year. This is the year they get it done.
My other pick was the Rams, but I feel like everywhere I look, people are picking the Rams. Like I think the Rams are going to be an absolute juggernaut this year, but I see how popular their pick they seem to be, and it's really, really scaring me. So I'm not sure exactly where to go with that. Aaron Rodgers is my pick to win MVP. I just think he's going to be on this big FU tour again, and he's going to tell the NFL to shove it again like he did last year.
Give me Mahomes for MVP. I think they have the best record. He's going to throw the most touchdown passes in the league.
Offensive rookie of the year.
I'm going to go with Mac Jones, actually. I think Mac Jones ends up winning it because I think the Patriots are going to win 11 games. I think Mac Jones is going to be pretty damn productive in that offense, and I like his odds. So give me Mac Jones.
He's plus 450. So he's really, really – I believe he was started at like plus 1,200, but is now all the way in the second best odds behind Trevor Lawrence at plus 450. I'm going with Justin Fields. I think he's going to start sooner rather than later. I think he's going to come on and he's going to burst onto the scene sort of like Justin Herbert did last year with the Chargers. I think he's going to come in and set the world on fire, if you will. I'm not saying the Bears are like go to make the playoffs or whatnot, but I think that he's going to come in and really, really like be that storyline that the voters flock to. He's currently plus 700, and I think he starts sooner rather than later for the Bears. I wouldn't even be surprised if he comes in. That's why we'll get our week 1 picks. That's why I'm very terrified of like picking against the Bears, because I'm so terrified of Fields coming in and like leading a furious comeback, because that could happen at any moment.
I already bet on the Rams. I got the line at 7. I bet on the Rams. I don't think they put it, unless Dalton gets hurt, I don't think Fields plays in week 1. I think he starts week 2.
All right, let's make our week 1 picks. It starts Thursday night, Cowboys, Buccaneers. This spread I believe started at 6.5. It's up to 9.
I got it at 7.5.
You bet on the Buccaneers? I'm taking the Cowboys. I bet
on the Buccaneers.
I am not laying 9 points with the Buccaneers in week 1. I think
Would you lay 7.5?
I mean, 7.5 and 9 is really no difference. I don't know. I just feel like that's way too big a number. I feel like Tampa's probably going to win 28-21 around there. I feel like 9 in week 1. I mean, man, that is.
Let me tell you something. Tampa's going to win by at least 15 tonight. At least 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott hasn't played in a year and a half. Has the shoulder issue in camp. I have no idea what to expect from him. B, without Zach Martin, even with Zach Martin, they're going up against the best defensive line in the league. Without Zach Martin, I think that defensive line is going to make life for Dak Prescott in the backfield hell. And then C, Tom Brady has everyone back. And look how good the Bucs were last season when they finally were able to practice. That goes into the offseason. And last but not least, the reigning Super Bowl champ is like 9-3 covering the opening game spread. So give me the Bucs by big.
Panthers, Jets. This line has actually come down a point. It's now Panthers -4, total of 44. I have no idea what the hell's going to happen in this game. I could see Zach Wilson I could see the Broadway Zach headline after this game, or I could also see like Sam Darnold gets revenge with a blowout win in week 1. I have no idea what's going to happen. My inclination is to completely stay away from this game, but if I had to make a bet on the game, I'd probably go under 44.
I would not touch this game with a 10-foot pole. Like you said, I think the under's probably the play. But also at the same time, I don't think either defense is great. So I could see this being like a 60-point game. I could see it end up being 33-27 because neither defense is particularly good. But I have absolutely no read on this. I think the Panthers win. I think they're just a little more talented. But if the Jets win and/or this was a blowout and/or a 1-point game, I have no read. Stay away. This is a game. You should not bet on this game. You should not bet on this game.
Jaguars, Texans. Jaguars are favored by 3. Who was the last number 1 overall pick to win week 1? The last number 1 overall pick to play week 1 and win? You have 10 seconds.
Jared Goff?
Nope. It was David Carr in 2002. Was the last number 1 overall pick to win in week 1.
That is a phenomenal stat. You should tweet that out. I'll retweet that stat.
No, we've been all over that at work. That is not original to me. I was just curious if you knew that. This is my inclination is that streak ends this week with Trevor Lawrence because the Texans are tanking and Trevor Lawrence he's beating the Texans week 1. I mean, come on.
So this is another game I won't bet on, and I think the Jaguars should win. My gut tells me the Texans are going to come out, look phenomenal this week. Everyone's going to be like, oh my goodness, do they really need Deshaun Watson? Then they're going to go 0-16 the rest of the year. So I'm actually going to pick the Texans to win. If you're going to bet, I think the smart bet is the Texans money line because you're going to get good odds. And
they're only 3-point underdogs, so it's actually not. It's not the value pick. It's only plus 150, so it's not like it's plus 350 or plus 400. With
these two teams, they're both going to stink. Give me the Texans money line as the bet I would make, but I'm not touching this game.
Eagles, Falcons. Falcons -3, 48.5. I'm taking the Falcons. The Eagles are 1-7 straight up in ATS on the road last season. I don't see any reason why that changes this week. Give me Matt Ryan with Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts to light it up in week 1.
I'm going to agree. I take the over, too. I think both teams are going to be able to put up points in this game. 48 is not a ton of points for two offenses that can score. And as long as Jalen Hurts stays healthy, and they have Minshew as a backup now. Maybe he doesn't have to be healthy, but his ability to run and keep the chains moving should allow them to score enough points to keep that over in play. And I think the Falcons, we both listen to Bill Simmons. He's giddish on the Falcons. I'm not as high on Atlanta as he is, but they have weapons. And Arthur Smith, they finally got rid of Dan Quinn. I think it's a coaching upgrade. And when you have a good quarterback with weapons and an upgrade at head coach, you're looking at a team that won 4 games last year. I don't think 8-9 wins is out of the question for Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good they're going to be this year. Matt Ryan, he always puts up huge numbers, but doesn't always translate to wins. We'll see if that changes this year. But yeah, I have no idea what to expect out of Atlanta this year. And I can just see the Eagles panicking. The panic, the fear just setting in, and the questions about Jalen Hurts. Should he be the starter? Because that's why you could argue that bringing in Minshew was a little bit of maybe a mistake because it creates that little shadow over Jalen Hurts where he's not, playing as confidently and is he could hear the footsteps behind him in Minshew. Cardinals, Titans. Titans are favored by 3. Over under is 52. I'm taking the over in this game. Over is 24-4-1 with Tannehill as a Titan starter. 24-4-1. I think this is a high-scoring shootout affair. Kyler always comes out guns a-blazing in week 1. I think the Titans with Derrick Henry and Julio Jones and A.J. Brown put up a lot of points. I see this being like a 34-28 game.
I love the over there. I'm taking the Titans to win if we're just picking winners, but I like the over.
No. I believe me, I am not picking sides for every game.
I'm just saying I like the Titans to win. I like the over in this, and I also think that the Titans defense is a major question mark this year. They were not particularly good last year. I don't think they got Bud Dupree coming off an ACL injury. I'm not sure how much he helps. I have a lot of question marks, and I don't think the Cardinals, when they look at their schedule, especially in the NFC West, every game is of the utmost importance to them. They don't have any throwaway games because their division's a gauntlet. So this is obviously you want to win week 1, but I think this has a little extra added importance to Arizona. So yeah, I think this is over as a play, but I like the Titans to win.
Chargers at Washington. This is now a pick 'em. Total is 44.5. I have no idea what the hell's going to happen in this game because you always have the element of is it going to be the Fitzmagic show? Is it going to be the Justin Herbert launches his MVP campaign? I'm taking the over 44.5. I thought that was a little bit of a low number. I feel like Fitzpatrick and Herbert are going to put up some points in week 1.
I'm not touching the over under. I'm just taking the Chargers to win. Give me in a pick 'em. Give me the Chargers to win. I think once again, when you upgrade at head coach, and I think Brandon Staley is an upgrade over Anthony Lynn, I cannot underestimate the importance of what a competent head coach in football does for a football team. You look what happened with the Rams. They go from Jeff Fisher to Sean McVay. All of a sudden, they know what they're doing. We've seen it countless times before where a new head coach comes in with virtually the same roster, and just by their sheer competence elevates the level of the team. I think Brandon Staley and Anthony Lynn did a pretty good job, but I think Brandon Staley has a chance to be a really special head coach. I don't love Washington's offense. Give me the Chargers to win.
Seahawks -3 at the Colts. Love the Seahawks here. Colts have lost 7 straight season openers. This is my favorite pick of the week. Seahawks laying 3 at the Colts.
Not only that, but we don't know how healthy Carson Wentz is. And even if he's healthy, that might be a bad thing for Indianapolis. I agree. It's one of my favorite picks. It's one of the 3 games I actually bet on this week. So give me the call. Give me Seattle. Excuse me. Give me Seattle by 3.
Vikings -3 at the Bengals. Total 47.5. This is a game that I have no idea what to do with. So I think Joe Burrow might come out and look great in this game and win. So if I were to bet on this game, which I'm probably not going to, I'd probably take Bengals money line.
I'm not touching it. I'm going to go the opposite, though. If I was, I'd go Vikings by the points and the under. I don't trust Joe Burrow's knee yet. I mean, he got hurt, it was like 9 months ago. It's barely been a year. They've been easing him into things in training camp. Ben Baby, the ESPN reporter for the Bengals, used to work here. I know Ben, and he's told me that Joe Burrow, he's throughout camp, we haven't seen him go full speed yet. So I think coming back, your first full speed game action against a defense that has a couple dynamic pass rushers in Anthony Barr and Daniel Hunter, along with Harrison Smith in the secondary, with only 4 points. I know it's in Cincinnati, but give me Minnesota, and I would take the under if I was betting, but I'm not touching this game. I refuse to bet on Kirk Cousins, so I'm not touching it, but that's what I would do if I was betting.
Steelers, Bills. Bills favored by 6.5. 48.5 is the number. I'm not sure what to do with this game either, because I really like my gut tells you the Steelers are going like 2-15 this year, but I guess I would take the under in that game. I think the Bills win probably by like 3 or 4 points, but under is probably the safer play there.
Yeah, I don't want to bet on the Steelers till I have a better idea of what they're going to be this season. I would take the over, actually. TJ Watt just came back in full participation in practice, but I wouldn't touch that game. I have the Steelers are the one team that if you tell me they go 13-4, I'd be like, didn't really see that coming, but okay. And if they go 4-13, I'd be like, didn't really see that coming, but okay. They have one of the widest variances for me of any team in the league. So I'm not touching a Steelers game till I've seen them play at least 2 or 3 times.
49ers, 7.5-point road favorites at the Lions. Total is 45. Man, you're really, really like, if you're picking San Francisco, I mean, I think the 49ers win by a touchdown, but 7.5 points is way too many for a road favorite. I feel like this is like a 20-17 game, and I'm going the under.
I think San Francisco smokes Detroit, but I don't feel comfortable betting it with the 7.5. So
Broncos -3 at the Giants.
Hammer the Broncos. Hammer the listen. 2 weeks ago, Franco, I told you I was excited about the Giants. I have completely fallen off that horse. I now think they're going to stink. I don't trust their offensive line, and Nate Solder and Andrew Thomas are going to have immense amounts of troubles blocking Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. 3 points seems like way too few. I know it's a home game for the Giants, but give me Denver. I think I'm going to bet on Denver and watch the game. So if the Giants win, I'll be happy, and if they lose, I'll still be happy because I won.
I could so see the Giants winning this game, and Giants fans just losing their minds and like, we're back. I could so see that happening very, very easily. But I'm taking the Giants. I'm switching my pick to the Giants. I had the under, but I'm taking the Giants. Lock it in.
Browns, 2 more, let's wrap it up. 2 more, let's wrap. Frank, let's go, baby.
The rapid fire here. Browns, Chiefs. I'm taking the Browns to cover, but the Chiefs win.
Same.
Dolphins, Patriots. Pats are favored by 3. I'm taking the Patriots. The Mac Jones era begins with a bang.
I'm taking the Patriots and the over.
Packers -4 versus the Saints in Jacksonville. Love the Packers in this spot. That's my bet of the week. Packers -4 against the Saints.
That's your second bet of the week. I will also take the Packers. Give me the over in this game as well. I think both teams can score.
Bears, Rams. Rams favored by 7.5. 46.5 is the number. I'm taking the Rams. Rams are 4-0 ATS under McVay in week 1. Easy pick, Rams.
Also, actually, physically bet money on the Rams. So one of the 3 I bet on. Go LA.
Ravens -4.5 at the Raiders. 50.5. I'm going the under.
Raiders money line's the play there. Raiders money line. The Ravens overrated this year. Take their win total under as well.
That'll do it for this episode of Lucas Podcast. We'll see you all next week. Go Jets and Yankees.